Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Reality Is. My name is Alicia.
And my name is Sanjana.
And before the show starts, we'd like to let our viewers know the values that are expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the values of Close Look Productions. They are our values and ours alone. And Sanjana, we have a sponsor?
Yes, we do have a sponsor. So thank you to Surrey Honda. Please do check them out at 152nd Street and Fraser Highway. And you can also find them at surreyhonda.com.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get started with the show. How has the setup been for you in terms of Zoom? This is our second week, so I feel like we're still getting into the groove of things, but how has it been feeling for you?
It feels pretty nice, I guess, in a way. I definitely am able to, I guess, stay at home maybe and have more time, I guess, to prepare for the show. But then at the same time, it talking in person is always so much better as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And you know what? Like, I just appreciate the fact that we have the technology to be able to, go forth with the show like that. I'm so grateful for that we live in this time period where things can still move forward, even though we're in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine if we didn't have like Zoom or Discord or something like the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So for this week, we have a guest speaker. Yay!
Yay!
And it is, our friendly counselor friend, neighborhood community member, Kashmir Bezla, on the show this week. So thank you so much, Kashmir, for keeping on coming back and sharing your insight and wisdom with us.
Hi, Alicia. Hi, Sanjana. I'm very happy to be here with you again through Zoom.
How's it going with you? Like, how are things?
Things are good, actually. I have learned to embrace this Zoom concept. I thought I was going to hate it. I'm not a very techie person, but like you were saying, it's actually been amazing, and I'm so appreciative that we have this platform to be able to connect with people and still keep doing the work that we're doing and to keep the show going. So this is wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But no, it's really nice that we can still, get together, learn a few things, and just keep moving forward with like awesome guest speakers and really good information in mind.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking
Sanjana, do you want to introduce the topic for this week?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, our topic is going to be around materialism. And the reason why we're actually bringing this up is because, we're getting closer to the holidays and we're probably all really looking forward to that, especially because of the pandemic, something fun to actually celebrate. But a lot of times we're so focused on getting gifts for people, which is out of, the generosity of our hearts. But a lot of times we're actually distancing ourselves from the main message maybe of these holidays, which is about, giving and like spending time with family and friends and building relationships. And instead we're so focused on some of these materialistic things like gifts and buying people new things that we kind of forget about the main message.
Yeah, and it's nice because actually Kashmir, this was her unique topic that she wanted to bring forth to the viewers. So so Kashmir, tell us a little bit about maybe like the concept of materialism.
Yeah, so I suggested this topic being that it is, like Sanjana was saying, the holiday season. But I find, throughout the year in working with young people, there's a lot of pressures. We've often talked about the pressures that youth have, but one of them definitely is, having certain things, having, the most popular cell phones, certain clothing, shoes, maybe driving a particular car, the latest laptop, whatever it is. There just seems to be this pressure that young people have to have certain things. And, I'm always astounded at how hard parents work to provide these things. But at the same time, like, when is it ever going to be enough? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why
Mm-hmm.
can't a cell phone last more than, 14 months and then you have to replace it or something, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
Yeah.
we've just become so consumeristic. And the holiday time, because it is, set around gift giving, as Sanjana was saying, it can just create so much pressure on young people, on families, on people who, especially at this time, may not have the funds that they've had in the past. So there's that side. And then there's the other side of, a lot of people that I'm speaking to who are at a younger age, starting to grasp the idea of living with less and not having your stuff tie you down. And I'll just use the word minimalist, but living that lifestyle where, you own what you love, but your stuff doesn't own you. So I just thought that was a really lovely way of looking at things as well.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think one of the issues with, around Christmas is that it's a concentration of gift giving and, item storing and, seeking out things all within 1 month. And it's just about quantity over quality. Like, how many presents do you have under that Christmas tree? How much have you spent on your loved ones and stuff like that? And it's just so nice for you to bring up minimalistic thinking, because I feel like that's a very revolutionary idea and concept that I feel like is really new for people to really grasp right now. So
it is. And I've been, I know my family would laugh at me because, they would say I have a lot of stuff. I'll be honest, I do have a lot of stuff. But as I get older, I'm learning to let go of a lot of it and realizing that if I'm not using it, if it's not bringing me joy and it's just cluttering my house, it's time to let it go and let somebody else appreciate it and enjoy it. And I can just be free of it. And it's actually so powerful to be able to take the steps to do that. And so once you start doing that, then your need to consume more and more is really minimized. It's like, why would I want to bring more stuff into my house when I'm really working at living a more simple life where I just own a lot less stuff? And it's just very freeing, to be honest. And the fact that, it took me this many years to sort of figure this out, but other people are, much, much younger than I who are embracing this concept. I think it's really wonderful. It's really great.
Yeah, and I feel like so many people try and look at these materialistic objects as maybe like a way of finding like internal fulfillment or just trying to fill some sort of void in them instead of actually looking at more intrinsic things and trying to find happiness in that. And yeah, I think we do have a game that really goes over like exactly like what materialism is and that type of mindset, and also a lot of the misconceptions that are revolving around that. Okay, so let's get right into it. Let's talk a bit about some misconceptions that we have around materialism, because for some people maybe this is a new topic and it's something I'm also trying to get familiar with myself. So my first question or statement, and let me know if it's true or false, is that if you buy new clothes, it can make you happier.
Yeah. Definitely, when you make a purchase, you do feel very happy. I got a new sweater, right? But we find that it doesn't really last. So having new things, that feeling, that euphoria of I got something new, whether it's something big or something small, it often doesn't last when it comes to materialistic things. What about you, Alicia? Can you recall that feeling of getting something new and feeling happy about it, and then by the time you get it home, you just kind of like throw it in the closet, or you don't look at it for 2 weeks? Yeah.
It's actually really common. Like, I feel like we are so we're chasing this novel experience. With that comes a lot of positive emotions, but then the world of materialism means that we're looking for the next thing, or we're not really settled for what we already have. So that's what that's what I think. I agree with you very much, Kashmir.
And learning that things are not going to make us happy. We can make ourselves happy, but things are not necessarily going to make us happy. And I always use this example with a lot of clients that I work with in my practice. When I ask them, to share a good childhood experience, or from their teen years, and, they'll talk about, spending time with my parents, or great vacation we went on, or, my grandma, making lunch for me. These really special moments, they often do not involve things. No one's ever said to me, as a kid growing up, I just was so excited because we lived in a gigantic home and we had all these things. No, they're always talking about experiences. So for me, it says, nice things are nice, but they're not as important as experiences and making memories that way.
And even like take it to the flip side, people that are on their deathbed, what they regret the most are they don't recall, what they owned, but it's the relationships they had with people, the quality time they spent with other people. So
exactly,
these are lessons that we can have as young people, and also it just follows you until your old age.
Yes.
For sure.
And then, for young people to have that expectation that I have to have those particular sneakers, or, my cell phone is, 5 years old, and, my buddy gets a new cell phone every year kind of thing, I think that can cause a lot of pressure for people. But even if you get that phone every year, does it make you any happier? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. Like so many youth are so focused on like getting the new pair of shoes, or as you were saying, like the new cell phones and those kinds of things. And even research has shown that when exposed to luxury goods and items, like at first it does give people maybe like a temporary sense of happiness, and then later that is followed with anxiety and depression because it doesn't lead to that long-term fulfillment, I feel.
No, I agree with all of that. There is another question I wanted to ask you both. So this is a question, true or false, couples with more money often lead happier lives. So what do you guys think?
It sounds pretty straightforward that having more money would mean happiness. I think having more money can definitely allow you to do more things, which you would think would, lead to more happiness. But, again, it comes down to the relationship. It's not about what you have or where you're going or where you're traveling. It's about who's with you and what's that relationship like. And, and having that fancy home, but who's living there, right? So I think, again, it comes back to the relationships. Just going back to what Sanjana was saying about the anxiety and stuff of, having these things or not having these things, but also at this time of year, the stress of, the cost of having to buy these things and then knowing, oh my goodness, in January, here's my huge credit card bill and I don't have the funds to pay this. That's going to cause, anxiety and, bad feelings for people as well.
Exactly.
And it's so sad because whoever actually owns or possesses like these expensive items, they're not getting any fulfillment from it. And then other people, and then other people look at them and they might even feel jealous, or they might feel like they don't own the same type of items that give those people certain value. So they end up feeling bad as well. So I feel like it's kind of a lose-lose situation.
And sorry, were you gonna say something, Kashmir? Or
I was just gonna say, you're talking about high school, like I'm just picturing like everyone wearing the same shoes or the same sweatshirt or having the same phone. It's like, where's the individuality? It's like we get so caught up in that's the latest thing, then everybody has to have that latest thing, versus that individuality of, you know what? Maybe I don't have to have that thing. Maybe I don't need to buy the most fanciest clothes or name brand logos and things like that. Maybe I wear what I wear and I'm happy with that, right? Because I've got, a sweatshirt that's, $200 versus a sweatshirt that's $25. You know what? It's doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like the people, like the youth that have really adopted like that minimalistic thinking, they're light years ahead of their peers. They really are.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, they're able to think outside the box and not, just follow everyone, and to not do what everyone else is doing or think like everyone else is thinking. And you know what? That takes some courage, and sometimes there's some backlash around that. But, to be your own person, I actually think that's so cool to be able to do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so, going back to that question, it's interesting because there was like like a research study on couples. I think they surveyed like 1,700 couples, and they were just asking them about their relationship and how much they valued money. And so the couple in the relationships, they admitted that they have a strong love of money, but they're the same people that say that money is of a conflict in their relationship.
Oh God,
So
the
I
biggest
just,
strength and weakness.
yes. So you love it and you hate it. It's a source of it could be of happiness, but of a lot of maybe misery and of indifference, misunderstanding as well.
For
And
sure.
I think you're also touching upon like people's relationship with money. What does money mean, right? If you grew up poor and now you have money, what does it mean for you? Or if you've always kind of lived the same lifestyle, what does that mean for you? Or if you once had money and now you've lost it all, right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it should be seen as an avenue to purchase things and make our lives a little bit more comfortable. But as long as we have the necessities, the basics of food, clothing, shelter, what more do we really need if you look at it in the,
Yeah.
the big
Yeah.
picture that way, right? What
Yeah.
more do we really need? And yeah, a lot of these couples are fighting about money. Sometimes one person is spending too much, the other person is trying to save. But again, in my practice, it is one of the major things that couples do fight about. But it's also like, what's your relationship with it? What does it mean for you? Is it something that you need to show off, or something that you want to keep,
Yeah.
to yourself by living a modest life? Is
Yeah.
it, yeah, you know,
That's a really good point. Like just about because I know people that have things so that they can show it off. It's blingy. It's a
yes.
name brand.
Mhm,
Imagine, being coupled with someone who doesn't think like that.
mhm.
There's so
Mhm.
much, and it goes beyond money as well. It might have to do with appearance, things, aesthetics. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I know I'm veering off, but it's just these things that you're saying. It's reality. Like it really is. I see it.
I feel like this is such like a deeper topic
Yeah, it
in the
is.
sense that
Mhm.
you can pay $5,000 for a purse, or you can pay $50 for a purse. The purse does the exact same thing. And who's walking around going like, wow, look at her
Mhm.
$5,000 name brand purse versus her $50 purse. It does the exact
Yeah.
same thing. So it's just the society that we live in and the pressures that we have. And I think once we're happy with ourselves and know who we are,
Mhm.
then I think, all this expensive stuff, it's nice to have. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't go out. If you can afford that $5,000 purse and you have no, bad feelings about it, and it's within your budget and you
Yeah.
totally love it and you're going to use it for years, go out and get it. But it's just sad that people who can only afford the $50 purse are made to feel like they're less than it because
Mhm.
they don't have that other, more expensive name brand purse.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's such a philosophical topic in many ways, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I was just wondering, like, would it be possible if we can talk about like a minimalistic mindset and how to like promote it, I guess? And that
Yeah,
could be
you know
like
what?
our
It's
last
something
point.
that I'm just discovering myself, and
Yeah.
it's fascinating. There's so many great YouTube videos where you can learn that you don't want your stuff to own you. You want to have nice stuff that makes you happy, and that you want to have just simple statistics like we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time, so the rest of that stuff just sits there.
Mhm.
So why do we have all this stuff hanging around and cluttering up our spaces
Yeah.
and not being used, when we could just keep the 20% and get rid of that 80%, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
add a few more pieces to the stuff that we love, right?
Do you
Yeah.
are
Hanging
you
on.
what's it called, familiar with like the Marie Kondo,
Yes.
like, yeah,
Yes.
because a lot of what you're saying
Yeah.
is her principles.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's really interesting because I think that she really promotes a minimalistic
Mhm.
lifestyle, but really like creating a relationship with your items that you are holding dear to you.
Mhm.
and being okay with unburdening yourself with things that you don't require anymore. Sorry, I know this is off topic, but it's also so related.
It is totally related because there's also that connection between, it's interesting you use the word unburden, right? We know that our space affects our mental health. So if we're living in spaces that are full of things that we're not using and that are cluttering our lives, of course it's going to affect our mental health.
Yeah.
So it's nice to clear that space, as we're headed into a new year, to buy things more mindfully if we are buying things for other people or for ourselves, and to just clear that space and to have a nice fresh start. It doesn't mean getting rid of everything. It just means just being more mindful of what we do have, what we hang on to, and what we give away, because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, spending lots of money on your partner, your boyfriend, your parents, what's more important, that stuff, or writing a lovely card for them, or buying tickets to go see some Christmas lights, or
Mm-hmm.
I understand all that stuff isn't available, but planning for something in the spring where we can go and have an experience versus all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the take-home message.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. So I guess we could maybe transition into what we can do for Christmas that
Mhm.
is going to be promoting that kind of stuff. You already mentioned a few things, like
Mhm.
opt for rather than item giving, more experiential, opportunities with your loved ones.
Mhm.
Maybe homemade presents, things
I
like
love
that.
homemade presents. I
Yes.
think homemade presents, whether it's food or someone has a skill set, they can, knit something. I think those homemade presents
Hmm.
are just amazing because it shows a lot of effort. It shows that somebody took the time to make you a card or make you a gift. I just, people cherish those things.
Okay, so in society, it seems like materialism is really prominent. In fact, like in high schools, there was a survey that like 62% of high school students actually had a materialistic mindset, and they believed that materialistic objects was like the main source of their happiness. And I was just curious, like, where do these ideas come from, and how do people dive into such materialistic mindsets in the first place?
Yeah. I honestly think we're just inundated with commercials and
Mm.
social media and companies, advertisers telling us what they think that we need. And a lot of people fall for that and believe that, and get, enraptured by those great commercials and run out and purchase those items. So I think there is a lot of pressure coming from a lot of different, places for us to own, various different things. So, and for young people too, they want to be the same as their friends. They want to have what other people have. So I think there is a lot of pressure there, coming from the
Mhm.
outside, which then comes from the inside. I got to keep up with everybody
Mm.
else.
Mhm. Exactly. You don't want to feel like you're getting left behind, or
Right.
that you're not experiencing the things that other students are able to as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah. And I think that can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, again, if finances are an issue, or, you're a new immigrant family and you don't have the money yet, or, you know, or if you have the money and you just don't want to buy that stuff, like there's all
Yeah,
kinds of things that come into play. Yeah.
exactly. And it also puts a lot of pressure on probably the parents as
Mhm.
well, who
Mhm.
maybe shouldn't be prioritizing that at the moment because maybe financially they're not able to, or maybe they just want to teach their children the value of finding happiness or finding value in relationships instead of materialistic objects.
It takes a certain level of maturity to be able to understand that, because in working with parents and teens, it can be a source of conflict, right? Why don't I have what everybody else
Mm.
has? Why can't you
Yeah.
afford it? And pressures to purchase those things as well. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot
Mhm.
of that, right?
I think also like maybe at that stage they're measuring maybe their self-worth or
Mhm.
just like their success in life
Yes.
based on these items rather than like internal fulfillment.
Right. Yeah, I've got lots of stories where, the parents they literally will say to me, I didn't have these opportunities, I didn't have these things. I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure my child has them. Which,
Yeah.
you know, it sounds great, but sometimes your kid doesn't need all those things and they're not ready or responsible for all those things either. So you have to look at that.
That's a really good point. I
Yeah.
see that a lot as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I also just, you know, want to say as we wrap up here, I don't know if it's a religious quote or where it came from, but, you know, it really resonates with me in the sense that, you know, we come into this world with nothing and we're going to leave this world with nothing. And I don't mean to start, you know, sound dark and gloomy, but if you really listen to that, it's like, it's so profound. Like these are just things. And we've said it several times in our discussion, but relationships and how we treat people and how we treat our environment, and you know, if we're good global citizens, those things are much more important, you know, than the things that we own, for sure.
Yeah, that's a really great way to end this episode, is just, you know, fostering those kind of connections, connections that are lifelong and, you know, can, you know, leave a legacy behind. That has high impacts when you're not even here. So, well, this has been a really fun show. A lot of organic conversations and natural connections with the real world and what's going on. And Sanjay and I always appreciate Kashmir for coming on, because, you know, you speak from the heart, but you also speak from experience, working with real people and real situations. So all that together is really, really nice and profound for us and the viewers.
Thank you for having me, ladies. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming on. And yeah, big thanks to Kashmir, because she is like our monthly guest speaker and she's always coming here and giving us great insight. Yeah. So the reality of the situation is that although we do require basic things like maybe like food and water and shelter, obviously, we shouldn't try and invest so much money and time and energy in towards getting materialistic objects, because we feel like that's what society is expecting us to do, or because we feel like that's going to give us some sort of internal fulfillment. I think we need to focus more on intrinsic things, like relationships and following our passion instead. And I think we can really take this message into the holidays as well. And as mentioned, just spending time with family and showing them that you care.
Awesome. Beautifully put. So yeah, that does it for us at The Reality Is. Make sure to check out all our social media platforms. Sanjana, you should tell them. That's your part. Just
Yeah.
I never say that part.
For sure. Yeah, so our Instagram is at The Reality Is Show, and we also have email, so please do email us at, why am I saying at? therealityisshow@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to Kashmir. Thank you to the viewers for tuning in. And we'll see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Get inspired.